targeted individuals. I myself and others would argue that I am one of those people, a targeted individual, because of the field, because of the stuff I investigate. I could become a targeted individual. So here we start off. I have a lot of photos here. I'll show you a picture of someone up of what I was investigating. That is a hybrid with an elongated skull. Psalms 20, Bulls of Bashan, the only remnant of the giants that survived. There was 36 races of giants that the Hebrews faced, and he defeated them all and wiped them out except for the Bulls of Bashan. So this is Psalms 22. Many strong bulls surround me, strong bulls, bulls of Bashan encircle me. My enemies surround me like a herd of bulls, fierce bulls of Bashan. Now, Bashan is like a place where giants weren't wiped out when there was wars with giants. So what are you on about giants? Well, hold on a second. Here's Psalms 22. This is the judgment against Dublin. Why is this significant to Dublin? Because Dublin has... There's a giant in the background there. That's in Abercrombie and Fitch. There's another giant there. He's the bad guy. He's in Dublin as well. There's leprechauns and bulls in a beefeater. The bulls of Bashan are cannibals. Leprechauns are linked to the bulls of Bashan. 30 people, remnant of the giants. They hibernate underground. Ireland used to be called Hibernia. There's giants flying up from under the ground. They're stuck on the side of the walls. There's more giants just down the road. This is Belfast, crossing the subway, coming up out of the ground. There's a bull of Bashan there. There's Jesus evicted. Now there's Jesus Christ evicted on the bench, and he's straight across the road from the bull's castle. Now whoever it is in Ireland that has the power to do all this black magic and witchcraft, the two that done them were into black magic warfare and all of these nasty things that Christians don't get involved in, they're not supposed to. Now there's whoever it is in Dublin that has the power to go into Christchurch. There's always stuff happening in Christchurch with security guard on the gate as well. I don't know how you get into those things that's going on in there. Across the road from Jesus on the bench, Lord and Saviour evicted on the bench, saying to Satan, kicking him out of his church. Is the bulls of Bashan. Bashan is a place in Palestine. That's where King David never managed to wipe out the remnant of the giants. Now straight across from this statue here, you'll see that Jesus has the Bull and Castle Temple with a giant meat cleaver pointing at him, 3-foot meat cleaver, a giant's meat cleaver, and the goat remnants and all of that stuff. This is Dublin. You see that thing that the skeleton is sitting on? Okay, well, I'll go back to here. Psalms 22, or Ezekiel 22, the judgment against the bloody city. Dublin is renowned for human sacrifice. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Now thou son of man, thou wilt judge the bloody city. Yea, they shall slew her and all her abominations. Then say thou, thus said the Lord God, the city shedded blood in the midst of it, and her time may come, and maketh idols against herself, to defile herself. Thou art become guilty in the blood that thou hast shed, and had defiled thyself in thine idols which thou hast made, and thou hast caused thy days to draw near, and art come even unto thy years. Therefore I have made thee a reproach unto the heathen and a mocking to all countries. Did you ever hear people slagging out the Irish that going, yeah, the thick mix, Paddy Mick, they call me Pat, they call me Mick. Fluoride in the water makes the mix thick, they call me Pat, they call me Mick, they call me Paddy, they call me thick. The fluoride in the water is a form of alchemy. Alchemy is black magic. It's always been black magic. Everyone who goes to Dublin is encouraged to drink a pint of Guinness, which is filled with alchemy, and it has a reverse harp on it. The harp is reversed around the wrong way, which is a form of mirror magic, black magic. It's all black magic. It's all, there's loads of missing kids. I could go into forever, but that's like Ezekiel, the 22, the judgment against Dublin, and the likes of it. So we have, what am I on about? People say, what are you on about? Well, everything we have learned and we're taught in school was taught us by the Vatican, the Catholic Church. Now, at some point in history, St. Patrick came over to Ireland and burnt 180 books personally. That's not to say the ones on his cronies and his cohorts. So from that point on, when Patrick burned them books, my ancestor had a word with him before he burned them. He says, why have you come here to change the old ways? Because we went by the Hebrew calendar, the God's calendar. The first sliver of the new moon is the moon calendar, the start of it. They come over, burnt the books and taught us a false history. Now, if someone burns books, the history of a people, prior to them burning them books, we had a race of giants, hybrids, called the Tomb of the Danann. They hibernate, they're known to hibernate. The people that do all the studies into them say that giants hibernate. Ireland is called Hibernia in Greco-Latin. That means hibernate, go asleep, wake up. So remember that bit. So there we are. Patrick burning the book. So from that point on, they deceived us. They kept the truth from us. Not to say that they burned all the books, but they just burned a lot of books that they didn't want, and they kept the rest hid from us. That's an artist's impression of what the hideous creatures are said to have looked like. The mixing of things, so it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. So what we got, there were Bible verses in the Bible. There are so many verses in the Bible about giants. There's over 50, there'll be about 50, I'd say. Genesis 6:4, there were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of man came unto the daughters, or when the sons of God came to the daughters of men to bear them children, until they became hybrids, mighty men of renown. Giants, Old Testament giants, facing more giants. There's giants on the earth in those days. So I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna look. There's a lot of activity around that Jervis Centre. That's the middle of it. Looks like some sort of Doppler radar to me. Looks a bit like a radar, telescopic dish or whatever you call it. Then you have the tower across the road sucking in all the air. Then you have big doorways going under the Jervis Centre. Now the two that done and valued the plough and the sun. So everyone that goes into college in Ireland, the pagan sun worship, they go into the college of the plough and they come out and join the Irish Armed Forces, which are basically an extension of the Vatican's will in Ireland. The two that done and under the pagan sun worship. But they're not the bulls, there's a difference between them and the bulls of Bashan. So what am I looking at? Giants mentioned in the Bible. What's this? King James Version. And except those days were shortened. This is what Jesus says. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, in those days shall be shortened. So the people that have no spiritual protection are bollocks. Because when these yokes wake up and come up from under the ground, that's what they were hiding as far as I'm concerned. When my enemies and foes came upon me to eat up my flesh. That's Psalm 27. So there's flesh eating going on. They stumbled and fell, though when he should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear, though war shall rise against me, in this I will be confident. So the whole Old Testament is about a war between a race of hybrid giants and King David and the Hebrews, my ancestors. That's what it's about, basically, wars with giants. So when this was being written, Psalm 27, it was common knowledge that they would rise up against you and they would eat your flesh. So when he wrote that in there, that was just the way it was. So then someone tried to hide the true history of the earth from us, which is basically the Vatican. This is the unveiling. When you look at this, I'll show you now. A piece of art. There it is. Then. Get a good look. That piece of art's called The Awakening. And you have giants rising up out from under the ground, and all around the outside of this you have air vents, and there's all sorts of stuff under the ground on Ireland. So the Hibernian hypothesis basically is this: the Vatican came over and lied to us. They've lied to us so many times in the past. We have what's called Stockholm Syndrome. We're dependent on our abusers. They control all the religions. They control Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, because they're religions, they're Roman legions. You're on a need to know basis only. You will never be told any more than they want you to know. So the Irish were in the Roman legions until they abandoned Catholicism. So the Romans is trying to re-legion. The Pope is sitting in there playing sink your battleship with all the armies of the world, especially the religious ones, and turning them against one another because they conform to the Vatican's doctrine. They don't learn, they're not taught. You don't get a personal relationship with God by learning how to speak to God and picking up the Bible and listening to what he's trying to tell us. So there's Bashan anyway. Yeah, all around here, Hebron, all of these places, Jerusalem. Now this is where the giants never got properly whacked. So basically we're called the Goyim, the cattle. Watch, I Google it here. P-H-E-G-U-Y-A-E-M-C-A-T-T-L-E. The cattle. Well, it's in there anyway. The Goyim, I can't spell it. The Goyim is called, that's, hey, he's a good guy and all that. That's the cattle. So who's herding us? What are we being herded for? Well, if we go by the teachings of the Bible from the start, we're being eaten and devoured by giants, hybrids, the Goyim. That's what they referred to as the Babylonian Talmud. People who run the world, synagogue of Satan, the people who killed Jesus, they call us the Goyim, the cattle. You can see it in the protocols of Zion. Just type it in and I'll tell you all about how they view us. So you had the Goyim, the cattle, and here you have these photographs. Hold on a second. There's giants, look, leprechauns, you name it, but they all come from the gnomes. They're called the gnomes, the leprechauns. They're messing around in the human genome, in the Smovitz Institute. According to the people who study the giants, who are experts on it, I'm not an expert on it yet, they say that they hibernate. So while it was called Hibernia, Jesus is evicted on the bench. We're getting herded. The awakening is anticipated in the art. There's loads of children missing. Look, somebody's child. That goes round the other side. This is Temple of Bull, Temple of the Bull. Baal is an abbreviation of the Hebrew word of the Babylonian law, which is the bar today. You have to take a note. And there's a giant coming up from under the ground. That's Trinity College, one of the institutions of the Dannon. There's vents under the ground. There's a Bull of Bashan there, look, inside one of the most financially important, influential buildings in Ireland, the IFTC building or something. The Bull of Bashan is pointing its horns across the River Liffey at the Christian church. So the dead are targeting the living, because the River Liffey means the river of life, and the Bulls of Bashan are the dead. They worship the dead, and the living God is Jesus Christ, and the children who Jesus loves the most. So they're targeting Jesus and what he loves the most. The Bulls of Bashan, many strong bulls surround me. Bulls of Bashan. There's a story of witchcraft behind the bull in the IFTC building. That's innocent children being torn into swans by an evil witch. There's the harp of King David.